Hello and welcome here in College Park for this edition of WMUC Sports Radio. Featuring two teams, we got the Indiana Hoosiers coming into College Park and trying to take on the Maryland Terrapins. The Terps are still undefeated, 12-game unbeaten streak, as the Hoosiers have had some different struggles throughout the season. I'm James Consoli alongside Adam Lipman. And Adam, what are we looking from these two teams tonight as we're getting closer to postseason contention?
I mean, James, this is a pivotal night for Maryland, who have their biggest home crowd of the season, celebrating the 20th anniversary of their 2005 championship. We're going to see a later ceremony at halftime to honor those players who came back, but it's a big night for Maryland. I mean, a win today, even though Indiana are 10 spots lower than them in the rankings, this is a game you have to take care of business in because this is a game that reflects on your program, your culture. I mean, Sasha Starovsky said the only time he's cried at Maryland was when they won that championship. Perhaps the team's offense can bring him to tears once more tonight.
I was going to say the same thing, Adam, as this Hoosiers team comes in and ranked number 14, the Terps number 4, and the Terps are on a 3-game streak with holding opponents scoreless. So it's been absolutely great. At least 3 of their last games have been scoreless for the opposing team. But let's talk about some of the lineups for tonight. Starting with Indiana, we have Judawellen Michelle in goal. Over the last couple games, the Hoosiers decided to put him as the starting goalie. In the back, we're going to have Ben Doe, joined by Josh Mayer, as well as Barger and Minzy, Bruletti in the midfield, and Hoyer as well joining him. And then up top, in the forwards, we're going to see Swan, Alt, Oduro, and Mirador. Alternatively, for Maryland, we're going to see pretty similar lineups we've seen in the past. Lauren Mack, 2-time Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week this season. Luca Costabile in the back, joined by Jace Clark in the wing. Lasse Kelp and Tristan Rose in the center back positions. And then in midfield, Leon Kuhl, Albion Drenica, Joseph Umberto Picotto, Chris Steinleitner. Up top, Stefan Njike and Saddam Masareka as we get things going. The kickoff just started. Maryland lost possession there. So this one's going to go out of bounds for a throw for Indiana.
But, James, you talked about Alt and Oduro. They've combined for 50 points. The rest of the team doesn't even have half as the rest of the entire roster.
As looks like Costabile goes up for a header there to try and break things up, break up the attack of Indiana. This ball goes back to Mack. Got some pressure on. Mack with the clearance. Just no nonsense out of bounds there. This one's going to be out for a throw for Indiana. Looks like it'll be Alex Barger on this left wing for the throw. Going to find midfield here. Indiana just looking to maintain possession. Right now it's Charlie Hoyer, who was out earlier in the season, has since come back, and they felt his impact in the midfield for sure. This one's on the right side. Now they're working the wing. Costabile, the strong tackle there, able to stay on his feet. Working the ball to Quist Thurston. In the back working right now, Tristan Rose and Mack. Just want a big clearance across the back. Pretty dangerous. But Indiana not able to get a strong touch there. Looks like Mirador on the pressure there. Able to get the ball back, try and work something out. Maryland possession. Picotto working it in the midfield. A flick on from Indrenica. Indiana breaks that up. Now might opt to go back. They do find Michelle. Now they're just working it across the back here. Josh Mayer. Switching fields. Indiana trying the right wing down. Going to try and break up Costabile. Referee's going to find that one offsides. Not sure if a last-second adjustment from Costabile pulled off the winger from Indiana there, but seemingly it was enough for the referee to decide that one was off. So that was the first real breakaway we saw there, and unfortunately for the Hoosiers, weren't able to stay on there. As just a quick played set piece there from Mack. working it to Rose. Back to Mack, near midfield. Finds his other back there. This one's Lasse Kelp. Now Kelp working. Jace Clark out wide. Kelp and Rose just back and forth here. Here's a ball forward. This one broken up. Indiana, Maryland with the ball at half field. Back with Kelp. Just swinging it, trying to build an attack from the back. Here's Clark. First touches on the ball. Tries a give and go with Masareka. Masareka can't find space, so he's going to bring this one back to Mack. Bit of a dangerous pass there. Rose finds Costabile, and that one looks like it's going to be the first call foul of the night. Costabile has not gotten up yet. Really caught the ankle there. It's a pretty tough injury. He doesn't look like he's in the best shape there. That's going to be the first card awarded for the day. Hard to see from here. Looks like maybe Victor Akum's yellow card for the Hoosiers. And Costabile, not a good sign for the wingback from Maryland, who's been so strong this season. A vocal leader, one of their captains, Adam.
And that yellow card is actually going to be charged to defender Ben Doe. And, you know, this is the consequence of having to play so physical against one of the Big Ten's best teams. It leads to moments like this. Really dangerous situation for Maryland. Costabile still has yet to get up. And, you know, I mean, on a more positive note, you know, even that call got such an animated reaction from the crowd that we have not seen all night. I mean, the crew section is packed. I don't think, you know, they can even fit in there. And then the main bleachers right in front of us over on the near side is also just so full of people who are really excited by this game, but concerned that Costabile, a key piece of Maryland's team, will potentially have to miss the rest of this game.
Yeah, we're not going to go as far to say that yet. He is still down. Been about 2 minutes. And obviously, play has stopped. We're just about 4 minutes into this one. What have we seen so far, Adam, in terms of the attacks from both sides and at least defensively? What stands out to you?
Well, we saw a pivotal moment earlier where an offsides call disrupted Indiana's best attack of the game, the best attack by either team. And the Hoosiers know that their assignment is they have to try and do something that a lot of teams have come to Ludwig Field and failed at. That is score against Maryland. So we're going to have to see if they try and diversify their offense, because they have a very two-headed approach so far, just feeding it to Alt or Aduro. And they'll have to try and differentiate, maybe catch Maryland off guard, because the problem with having such great players and a top-heavy roster is you're a little bit easier to scout.
No, exactly right. Within this goal scoring that you're talking about, Alt is the leader for this squad, no doubt. But across Indiana, 14 players have netted goals this season. So while, you know, Alt and Oduro are carrying the bulk load of that, they still have guys that can step up when needed. It's arguably, you know, a top 10 offense in the nation, 8th best according to statistics. But like you said, I mean, Alt has 14 goals and 36 points accounted for this squad, double like anybody in the Big Ten. So obviously he's in a league of his own. Haven't seen too much action from him tonight yet, but with Costabile slow to get up, now he's finally standing on his feet, which is a good sign. I think he might have to come off the field. I'm not sure what the trainer's decision is going to be. It's kind of a case-by-case basis here. Looks like the referee's still involved over there. It looks like it was just a tough lower foot, you know, ankle tackle maybe, somewhere around that region, and that never feels good. It's also cold outside, so that definitely doesn't help. He needs to stay warm, but it's good to see that he's jogging right now.
But, I mean, when he's locked up on the sideline like that, if it was in the middle of the field, he might have had more flexibility to get out, but his instinct is, I got to keep the ball in play. That might have worked to his detriment there, and we'll have to see if he can return later in this game.
Right, so Costabile is stepping off the field. With that said, with injuries, they should be able to step back on the field given a couple minutes, but it's tough with substitution rules changing in the last few years. only make a certain number of subs in the game, and when a player comes off, it's hard for them to come back on.
Does look like Farouk Cisse is warming up to take his place.
It looks like it, and Coach Sarovsky from Maryland is talking with the officials right now to see what they can do here, to see if they can get Costabile back in. And Costabile's running on in full pace. He looks like he's jetting out onto the field, good to go. You wouldn't even be able to tell he was injured. So, but Lauren Mack there, him and Costabile have sort of built that special relationship over the last few years. Costabile, one of the only vet backs to really be here, the only starter from last year in terms of that defensive line that has been able to develop a relationship with, arguably the best goalie in the Big Ten. As we get play resumed, here's a long ball played forward for Maryland. Big clearance there from Indiana. Two backs there for Maryland, and broken up there. Looks like Rose and Lasse working together there. This one's at Mack's feet. Looks like going to find Lasse again. Clearance from Mack. See if he can keep this one in bounds. An offsides call, of all things.
Those are rare to see in the midfield, James. I mean, almost took us by surprise.
I know, and the way the ball's placed doesn't make sense because you can't be offsides on that side of the field. But I think they just kind of let it happen there. But ball's back in play. Maryland able to retain possession from that, and now they're looking to build something here. Picoto just turns it over there, and that's a pretty nasty tackle there from Masareka. Just not smart. A little late on that one. Looks like it's going to be Barger with the ball, and now handed over to Captain Mayer. Michel working the ball here. Indiana trying to develop something. They send forward on the left wing, and here's a good run. Looks like Mirador, and that one might be out for a throw for Indiana. First pretty strong attack we've seen at him, where Maryland's kind of on its back, got its back turned, and a long ball is played down the wing. This one's going to be a throw, and here's one of those long throws we see. They almost play like a corner. Tough to pick out who's making this throw, but they almost get it to the box. This one's in the box. Dangerous here. A volley here from Indiana. This one right over the crossbar. An absolutely great strike off a throw-in. I can imagine they practiced that. But this one now, Maryland just clears the ball out. Michel able to return it back, and now the ball's stuck in midfield. Here's a run for the Hoosiers. They get it up. They're trying to build something. Broken up. Couldn't find feet. But now Picoto and Kelp with the ball. Great to have Leon Kuhl back in this lineup for Maryland as he breaks this one up and has possession now. Kuhl going forward. Great slide tackle there from the Hoosiers. This one goes out of bounds for a throw for Maryland. Costabile's first throw since coming back from that shocking injury that he was able to get up from. This looks like Kuhl on the ball. Looks like Andrenica going forward, and the Terps going forward, building an attack. No signs of offside yet. This ball's crossed in the box. And Michel from Indiana able to scoop that one up. Adam, I believe that was Costabile who goes for, one of the best wingbacks in terms of going forward. Player to watch for sure. As Indiana making a drive here. Able to stay on his feet. Across in the box. Broken up there as ball's at the top of the box, and this one's sent way out. But
yeah, Indiana look really strong offensively so far. These are plays that if they just keep creating them, they'll eventually find something that they can capitalize on, which is unlike what we've been able to say for a lot of Big Ten rivals that have come into Ludwig Field. Like Rutgers, for example, recently, they were unable to get any looks like that as good as what Indiana has just in the first 8 minutes of this game.
Exactly right. Can't say too much comparatively about the matchups between these two squads. What we can say is that Indiana had lost to Michigan earlier this season 2-0. Or at least lost to Michigan, 3-2, and Maryland was able to top them. So in terms of comparative matchups, Maryland gets the win there. But this one from Michel. Freshman out of Ontario, a goalkeeper for Indiana. Almost not able to get that clearance away in time. As now Indiana looking to build an attack. This one runs out of bounds. Steinleitner's there.
And you talked about Michel, and something to note for our listeners, he's wearing bright purple right now, which really sticks out on the field amongst anyone. Very much so compared to Lauren Mock's more subdued light blue.
And there's a drive there. Looks like may have been Jace Clark on the ball. Masareka on the ball. And he was able to drive that one out, but that one will go out for a throw for Maryland. Broken up by Indiana. This one a throw, and that's just a clear foul against Indiana. Just grabbing the arms and back of Picotto, not allowing him to turn. That's one way to try and shut down the midfield, Adam.
I mean, discipline has to be such a big part of today's game plan for Indiana because Maryland have margin of error to work with that if they make a few fouls, they can likely overcome them. For Indiana, they're already trying to punch above their weight, and they don't need anything else stacked against them.
As Maryland looking to build an attack aerially. A lot of headers, and now finally on the ground here, Jace Clark playing with Masareka. Masareka fumbling the dribble there, and he's going to look to get it back. He does. Steinleitner driving forward, finding a gap. And this one, a no call. Steinleitner sends the ball forward there and finds the feet of Njike, Maryland's leading scorer, and no foul was called. And you can tell with these Maryland fans, it's pretty upset. This is the most packed this stadium has seen this season. Deservingly so. And if you're joining us now on WMUC Sports, you're with us for this edition of Maryland Men's Soccer. A Big Ten matchup with two ranked opponents. Still scoreless, about just over 10 minutes into the match. A lot of clock, a lot of game left. As Maryland with possession now, working it across the back. Here's Lasse. And now we have Rose. Back to Mack. Lasse Kelp with the ball. A long ball sent forward for Costabile. Was not offsides. Able to recover, get back to his feet. Well done there from Costabile. He stays forward too, Adam. This is a wingback that is not afraid to go forward, and Coach Surovsky loves having him go forward because he has proven he can score and create. As Masareka on the wing here, looking to drive inside. Finds the feet of Indrenica. Steinleitner. Costabile getting involved. Cool. Here's Njike. Maybe going to send the ball in. Looking for it. Njike still driving, and he turns the ball over there. One back by Jace Clark and the Terps. And now Njike back on the ball. Pretty far out if you were to take a shot, but now we have Picotto, one-on-one on the wing. Picotto going to drag in. Picotto, Maryland's shot over the goal. Way off target, but a good idea, I think, Adam.
I think he could have waited for another pass. I mean, that was a tough lane because even if his shot wasn't an ideal spot, that's trying to go for the top corner when Michel is already well positioned. So that's a moment where Maryland should have been more patient. But if that was Indiana, that would be really disastrous because we just know that they're going to struggle to create more opportunities. But Maryland can get away with missed execution like that.
As this ball sent all the way from the feet of Mack to the feet of Michel. Double M's there as both goalkeepers, kind of on opposite sides of the spectrum, though. Mack is a refined goalkeeper for this Maryland squad, a Big Ten leader in many categories. If you could think of it, he's probably leading or close to leading in it. As Michel, a freshman for this squad, really has seen minutes in the last couple matches as they've tried to sort of figure out their problems defensively. Only have 4 scoreless matches this season, and 3 of them versus non-conference opponents. So within the Big Ten have struggled to keep opponents off the board as Maryland building an attack in the midfield. Bakoto, some nifty footwork. Finds the feet of Steinleitner. Steinleitner looks to create. He still has the ball. Steinleitner maybe driving in. Finds Njike on the left wing. He might attack. Njike with a shot! And this one just off the hands of Michel. Gonna run out to the wing. Cleared up the wing by Indiana, and Maryland able to retain possession again. Here's Rose. Costabile. Costabile gets past half field. Finds the midfield. Steinleitner. Steinleitner back to the feet of Costabile. Off to Andrenica, who turns. Costabile's in the clear. Costabile's going to strike one, and this one's going to go in the goal. Costabile, once thought to be out of the game, comes in and scores first for the Terps. 1-0.
A thrilling moment for Maryland. They get the crowd fully into it, the crew going crazy. Costabile, as you said, James, comes back from multiple minutes where we thought he was just going to be out of this game completely. He burst back onto the field, and then he takes over for the offense, giving Maryland an early 1-0 lead on the 20th anniversary of the 2005 championship.
And Adam, that's one way. We just talked about it, right? With Coach Surovsky, Costabile is the one defensive player who finds himself looking like he's one of the forwards. He's trying to fit in with the forwards. And there just finds, Njenike finds him and finds his feet at the top of the box. One simple turn and able to deliver there is Costabile and put the Terps on the board first.
I wouldn't be surprised if that slide tackle really invigorated him to want to score today. I mean, that was not a dirty play, but that was a very physical play that you don't often see. So I think he wanted a big response, and boy, did he find it.
And I think so, Adam, as you can see, just in general, you get fired up, you really need a wake-up call. I think that's one of them, right? And he saw the potential for him to be out, I think, for the rest of the game. And he said, no, I'm staying in this game. I have left a mark to leave. As this ball played forward, recovered there from Mack. Across from Indiana there. Number 13, Alex Barger, tries to drive one in the box. Cleaned up from Mack, and now Costabile back on the ball. Just a fantastic goal from him. I mean, a left-footed strike as Njike driving forward. Has the wing. Has space. Has Terps. Njike, a little cut to the right foot. Sends this one in. Cleared out by the Hoosiers. Played back out on the wing. Here's Clark. Masareka, one-on-one maybe. Going to try and drive baseline. He does. Masareka with a cross. Off the hands of Michel. That one's going to go out for a corner. Maryland's first of the night.
So Michel gets a little bit of redemption there after Costabile's goal deflected off his hands into the goal. He gets the stop against Masareka. But now Maryland have a great opportunity to try and add on here. First corner of the day for either team. And I mean, for this Maryland squad, they don't need to lead by much, but an early lead of multiple goals with only 15 minutes elapsed in this game could be pivotal. I mean, that could take the wind out of Indiana's sails. It's
exactly right, Adam. If you're Indiana here, this is the last thing you can let up, because for the Terps, it's not a team where they come out firing or they're a second-half squad. They can score at any point. So if you let them get one here, who's to say they won't get more later? And Indiana really in a tough spot here. Maryland building some momentum. Here's Bakoto on the corner. Driven into the box. This one broken up. Here's a shot. This one from Rose, and that just goes a little high. Excuse me, from Cool. Leon Cool there at the top of the box.
So Michel's going to take the ball now, and I mean, I don't think I've seen purple on anyone outside of Washington for any Maryland opponent ever.
For the goalie, they typically have them wearing something eccentric, something crazy, so they can distract them.
But James, this is at the very far end of that spectrum.
This is a little extreme. I think Indiana could have picked a few colors before they went with purple, but the coach decided that this is the way to distract Maryland. Obviously hasn't worked against Costabile. Maybe his favorite color is purple, because he had no problem finding the net. As Indiana crosses midfield looking to build an attack. They have Barger outside. Are they going to play him? Find Barger's feet. He's going to drive inside. Here's a good drive from Barger in Indiana. And there's an attempt there from Alt as Maryland with a break. Here it is, driving forward on the Terps. Njike dribbling around. Njike, is he going to find the net? Not this time, as the Indiana attack is able to put up a stoic defense. Indiana's defense able to clear that one out. This one's going to be a Maryland throw.
That was some really interesting positioning because Michel was completely taken out of goal and off guard, but his back line showed up big time because the freshman, was kind of caught in the headlights there.
Yeah, that was tough. He had a decision to make, and not sure if he made it quick enough. Here, Steinleitner going to try and maybe loft one at the goal here. Michel able to go up and grab it.
But, James, since we saw that first big Maryland stop on what felt like a corner, but just because it was a deep throw-in by Indiana, this team has just built so much momentum. I thought this could have been potentially Maryland's half of the field most of the time, but the offense has taken full control.
And smart play here from Rose, as he's going to let this one go out of bounds. Just rolled out there, as this center back duo between him and Lasse Kelp has been so strong for Maryland. We haven't really had, a center back duo like that within the last year, obviously. Just kind of figuring things out. And it's tough when you have two fresh new guys on the squad. No returners, as Costabile going to look to build another attack. Finds Njike. He's out wide on the left. Costabile with the overlap. Njike plays this one in! And this one off the bar! The lights are flashing in College Park to signal that a goal could have occurred, but the referee going to stop this one just off the bar there. A beautiful cross in there from Njike. Not sure if it was Masareka's feet or Andrenika's feet. Somebody touched that ball and was able to strike it off the bar, but now we're going to see maybe a brief stoppage. It's like maybe I think they're going to take a look at this one. Not sure. It'll be a quick look, if anything. Obviously, unfortunately, that one just hit off the bar and came outward, so not a goal. That was a pretty quick decision there, as Michel off the set piece, and now Michel maybe going to clear this one up. Instead, opts to go short. Indiana playing with the ball in the back, and Maryland applying pressure. Pressure from the Terps does not crush the Hoosiers, as they're going forward now, looking to build in the midfield. Strong play there from Picoto. Says, I'll break that up for you. And now Maryland building again. Picoto on a run. Going to get the ball. And tries a little too much on that wing, and it's broken up. Indiana again. Here we go. Here's a run from Indiana. Looking to take on Kelp across. That'll cross the entire face of the goal and more. This one's in the back right corner of the field. Strong defense there. Looks like Chase Clark who's there. This one's out for a throw for Maryland. Here's Clark with the clearance off the throw-in. Indiana's Cristiano Bruletti plays it out on the wing. Now Indiana still at midfield. Haven't really been able to dominate possession the way Maryland has in terms of building attacks so far, Adam.
Yeah, we've just seen that the Hoosiers have struggled to maintain their momentum, and when Maryland are getting in a roll, they can stick with it. The Hoosiers have been unable to do so. They've really had two looks so far all game.
As that one looks like it went out of bounds and will be a throw for the Hoosiers. Didn't see a whole lot of contact there for it to be a set piece, but this one's going to be a throw, and this is what Indiana practices. I think they're going to try and go for another long throw here, which almost created a goal the last time we saw this action. Actually opts to go short here. Broken up, and a punt out from Andrenika, which may be recovered by Michel of Indiana, the goalkeeper. He's about a quarter of the field up. And Michel maybe going to play a long ball. He will. To Costabile's side of the field. Indiana driving. Indiana Maybe going to try and find Alt there. This one goes in. Alt with a header and just runs wide. Mac seemed to not signal the alarms there. He knew that one was going to cross the face of the goal, but from our angle, it looked like it was a lot closer as Masareka driving to the goal. Michel going to play this one, which will eventually go out of bounds. Tight on the sideline there. Pacoda recovered from Maryland, and it's going to be a throw for the Terps.
But again, we can see that even when Indiana just had a header deflect slightly the wrong way, they can't build off of that. Maryland take right back over. They're in full control again, trying to double their lead.
As Indiana, it's Colton Swan. Had the ball there in the midfield. It's tough. Indiana has been able to have possession, but not really past the midfield area. Haven't been able to keep the ball up top or create any chances that really threaten Mac. They're working it across the midfield again. This is usually when things start to get a little broken up. Josh Mayer. Bruletti as Indiana's trying to go forward here. Maybe going to take Kelp on one-on-one across in the box. Cleared there. Looks like Rose was able to get to that one. As now we have Njike coming back for the ball. And he's going to do a little nifty chop and try and go forward. Gives up his attack a little early, and the Hoosiers have possession. Crossing midfield once more out on the right wing. Here's a ball played into the box, maybe dangerous. Headed out of bounds by Steinleitner. Going to be the Hoosiers' first corner of the day.
You know, something that I'm noticing so far, James, is that Indiana have really struggled to be crossing the ball because the problem with their top-heavy offense, while they have had a lot of guys score at least, one goal or 2 goals, a lot of that was in non-conference games, and they have not had that many people prove themselves in Big Ten competition. So when you're so top-heavy, it's easy for this Maryland backline to know who to target and know what to expect, even on crosses from unexpected players.
That's exactly right, Adam, as we're going to see our first substitution for the Hoosiers. Bendo coming out, and Nolan Kinsella coming out, going back in. This one's crossed into the box. Great corner. Great hands by Mac. He's going to send this one forward and send it to his forward. And it's going to go. Him and Michel must have a relationship because they keep going back and forth here. And seemingly the referee is signaling to give the ball back to Mac.
And James, my favorite stat about Lauren Mack, he has the same number of goals allowed as shutouts this season with 7. That's, what a sensational story. Among Big Ten goalies to play 5 games, he's allowed the fewest goals. You said arguably earlier, I think the argument, it's over. I think we know who it is now.
As this one goes out of bounds, and Coach Sasha Sorovsky trying to show off his touch for the Terps. It's going to be an Indiana throw. Alex Barger, seen a lot of him on this left side. Obviously, it's easier to see a lot of him on this side because we were closer to it, but a lot of action on both sides of the field. As this one, Josh Mayer, Michel, Indiana. They've done a fantastic job tonight, Adam, at switching both sides of the field. It's not like they're playing laterally where it's just one side. And this one switched again. Here's Barger on a cross into the box. Here's a shot from Indiana. Bicycle kick attempt. Cleared away. Looks like it was broken up from Costabile. And now Pacoto and Costabile working this wing. Finds Njike up top near the midfield line. This one broken up from the Hoosiers. They're trying to go forward again. Have it in a similar spot as last time. It's Lasse Kelp who clears this one out.
And we talked before this game started, James, that this Indiana offense would have to really find some unique looks and do things that they have not done all season to try and overcome Maryland. Crossing laterally is what they've been focusing on, just left to right, and it hasn't paid off, though, because their crossing game has been shut down by the Maryland backline. If they can take more crosses into less traffic, I think we could see them tie this game up before the second half.
I think you're right, too. What's difficult about, going forward in general, even if you play more direct or you play laterally, is those backs of Maryland. I mean, just so seasoned in that center back spot. They've done their job all season. So this one could have been potentially dangerous. A ball played forward, juggled there from the Maryland defense as Rose, eventually landing at the feet of Mack. Mack has it, playing around a little bit with Alt. And now Rose going forward, finds Jace Clark. We saw action of him last season, and now, a vetted starter for this Maryland squad. Maryland working the field. Kelp, Clark, Rose playing with it. Here's a big clearance from Lauren Mack. I mean, a beautiful ball. He puts it right on the head of Njike, but tough to handle. This one's going to go out of bounds for a Maryland throw. Maryland has been so dominant in this game so far. I mean, in every position of the field, I think they kind of have the edge at them. Defense, midfield have purely dominated, and up front in attacking. I mean, obviously that goal was from Constabile, a defender, but it just shows you that Maryland's capability of scoring with really any player, as this one's going to be a foul called on, looks like maybe Indrenica or Constabile that was going forward. It's hard to tell, man, because he's always flying up top. The wingback position, he takes that literally and finds himself oftentimes in the other team's box.
So Constabile ends up getting the foul. He's been, the story of the stats all night. That injury, the goal, now a foul charged.
Definitely has the spotlight from Maryland tonight and the Maryland fans, which have showed up in all sorts of colors. Maryland with possession again. Here's Picoto driving down the left wing. Picoto. Strength from Picoto so far has been, I think, Maryland's driving factor in terms of their midfielders. He's been the one that's able to take the pace from a defensive transition and go forward, trying to build attacks, as well as Steinleitner has played some balls, but Picoto has really been a driving force for the Terps tonight.
Earlier he had a play in the midfield. It was like a spinning dispossession where it was almost like a double leg breaker. And, that is quite on the stat sheet, but so pivotal to Maryland having the lead and maintaining so much offensive possession.
And now Indrenica crosses the front of Maryland, of the field. Has the ball again. Indrenica plays it out wide to Masareko, who sees himself in a familiar one-on-one opportunity. Is he going to go baseline again? He does. The defender learns his lesson here. Masareko might have to shake it up a little bit, but this one runs out of bounds. It's going to be a goal kick for Michel and Indiana.
And that play where Maryland's trying to feed Masareko on this near side towards us has not been working so far. That's been something that the Hoosiers have been doing a strong job defending all day. So we'll have to see if Maryland try and diversify, maybe bring in someone like Rocket Rita and go from the left side, because we saw Constabile get that goal, but the right side, Michel has been shut down.
I think one thing to shake it up that Masareka could try, not that I'm in the business of giving advice, but maybe instead of driving that baseline again, just kind of lofts in a random cross and tries to pull Michel off his line a little bit, shake it up. But for now, Indiana with possession, a couple of throws. Looks like we might see some Maryland subs in a moment. Working across the back is Mayer. Now over to Minzy. A great step here from Kelp is going to give Maryland the possession as this one goes out of bounds. We're going to see our first subs of the day, as we'll see Jace Clark coming off the field and Farouk Cisse, a Borussia Dortmund Academy Club player from all the way in Germany.
And look, James, after I say that they should consider feeding it to Rocket Rita, they bring him in for the first time.
We'll see some Rita action as Njike comes off. A lot of created opportunities for Njike, but probably a smart time to take him off the field. Get some of your other guys involved. Keep them warm on this cold night going into the second half. As Rita hustling back to try and recover from this one. Will likely run out of bounds. Smart play here from Rose and Mack. First touches on the game from Cisse. Going to play Picoto on the wing, and that one, they're going to play advantage. Rita driving. Across the face of the middle. Slings it out wide. Looks like Indrenica. Finds Picoto. Picoto with a strike. Just to the right of the goal. This one, Picoto hunting for that top corner. Just a little wide, but how about the momentum? Maryland just makes some adjustments, some subs, and they're still able to keep the same fire going forward.
I mean, they've been cracking this Hoosier backline, and that was just bad luck. If you execute that play, let's say 3 times, you're scoring on 2 of them. That was just the unlucky version. Michel fully pulled out of the spot. But Maryland have just been dominant all game.
Contested header in the back line there from Costabile. Doesn't lead to much as Indiana with possession. Josh Mayer working across the back line again. Indiana looking to build from the back. They will get it up to the midfield. Bad possession there, but a foul was called, actually tripped up there in the Hoosiers midfield. So they have their first really set piece in a good spot here. Not too far out from the net. It'll be interesting to see how they play this, though. This was always one of the tougher ones to guard defensively, as you keep an offsides line just right outside the 18 where they're lining up. This is typically a ball you either play short and play quick to drag people up, or you try and loft it near that back post that Mack isn't covering. Not for a goal, but to see if you can stir some things up. Let's see what the Hoosiers go for here. Not sure if that's alt, but this is not the ball that maybe they looked for, but it's still chopping things up. The ball's still in the box. Not a lot of Hoosiers in there. Looks like Picoto able to get that one off. Rita breaks things up. Rita's making a run. He'll get the ball. Unfortunately, hits off his back heel. Slows down Maryland's attack. But some sloppy play there after getting the ball from Indiana, and now Maryland with the ball again. Costabile throws. Here's Cisse. Rose. Kelp. This one, pretty dangerous, played across the back. It's one of those where it kind of just breaks up your possession. I don't know if you're looking for that, to play a skip ball there. It certainly makes Sasho Surovsky stand up out of his chair. Not sure why you should be, fumbling that ball in the back there. But Indiana now looking to do the same thing and build an attack from the back. This one's played forward. A great touch there, and Kelp going to slide and try and keep that one out of bounds. He does a great job at that. He didn't want it to be a corner. Able to get a last-second touch on it and keep it as a throw, but
Indiana keep finding these deep throws almost in the corner position, so while they may not have as many on the day, just one, but they've had more chances with these faux set pieces.
As we'll see a sub here from Indiana. Coming off is Casey Price. As this one's juggled off the throw-in. Clay Mirador coming off. Jacopo Fedrizzi comes on. A little bit of commotion from the fans. Hard to tell, but some play involving Lauren Mack in the back and a player of Indiana, but it's just going to be a kick for Mack. Swung over to Tristan Rose, and now Kelp. Plays cool. Cool with lots of space and time. Cool driving. Pass there from Cool broken up as this one is a run from Indiana. And Lauren Mack knows his box and back line so well. He positions himself with inches remaining in that box to pick up the ball, knowing where it's going to come. As Costabile with some nifty footwork. really has shown his growth as a Terp. Just being so much more comfortable on the ball. And Constabile with a chop there. Gets his legs cut up. And he will be back on his feet, drawing the foul for the Terps.
That was a nicer moment there. He was helped up to his feet by a Hoosier, unlike that first time he was tripped up.
And now, Adam, we're seeing subs across the board. Kenny Quist-Thurston stepping on, as well as Mateus de Jesus, as well as Henry Bernstein coming on the field. And who will come off? We have Bakoto coming off. Looks like Masureka and Drenica. And might be Lasse Kelp. Excuse me, Leon Kuhl coming out. Who am I to think that they're going to take those center backs out from Maryland? Those guys play 90 minutes consistently. They prepare all week to play 90 minutes, and they will be in there for very likely 90 minutes.
Well, I think these substitutions reflect that Maryland's goal with just 7 minutes 40 to go in this first half is to prevent Indiana from scoring. They're trying to go all defense, give the offense a break, and then to start the second half, they're probably going to try and pad this lead if they can maintain it, and then try and put the game away.
Yeah, it's a interesting tactic there from Maryland, but it makes sense, Adam, as now we have Cisse on the wing again. Finds the feet of De Jesus, who will find Van Hoekelum, who is also just subbed in. Cisse on the throw. There's De Jesus. Steinleitner working with lots of Hoosiers around him. Now they're playing juggle with the ball back and forth in the air with their heads. I don't know who's going to bring it down, and it accidentally comes down. And now maybe a foul there, but it's going to be a no call. Van Hoekelum working on the side of the box. Not able to do much with it there, as that one possessed by Indiana, and now Maryland broke it up in the midfield, has the ball again. Steinleitner playing in this back line right now, at least seems that way. Rose on the ball, now Cisse. Looks to find Rita. Not a lot of space to work with there. Van Hoekelum with a beautiful flick on. Rita goes forward off his shin guard. Will be the Hoosiers' throw. And who other than Alex Barger, who's probably taken 90% of the throws tonight for the Hoosiers on this left wing. Shows where most of the game has at least been playing for us. On this near side of the field, and now Indiana looking to change that. On the opposite side of the field, here's a good ball. Goes forward. Indiana, maybe with a drive forward. Tries a strike on goal. That one's deflected. Put back into the box. A header. No worry for Lauren Mack, that one. Just going to run wide of the post.
But the biggest moment for Indiana here, not that possession and not the fact that they didn't capitalize. How are they going to deliver now in this moment?
Yeah, this is a tough time, Adam, because like you said, Maryland just took its attackers off the field, and they still look like the team that's trying to build an attack. With Van Hoekelum getting some touches, Rita up here on the wing. Hoekelum, and now Quist-Thurston. Broken up. Thurston back on the ball. Finds Rita on this right wing. How is he going to shake things up? Tries to do so with pace. Going to look to get rid of the ball. Gets it off to Steinleitner, who gets it back. Here's Quist-Thurston. Cisse. A little bit of deception there from the Terps. Broken up now at the feet of Quist-Thurston. De Jesus with a cross. Van Hoekelum on the back post, and Constabile there as well. Constabile may try a strike. Gets rid of it. This ball is crossed into the box. And an easy scoop there from Michel. 4 minutes of time left remaining in this first half. If you're joining us, Maryland up 1-0 over the visiting Indiana Hoosiers. We're here in College Park for this ranked Big Ten matchup. Working it across the back now is Josh Mayer and Alex Barger, as well as Cristiano Bruletti. I think Indiana just trying to give everybody some touches. They haven't made nearly as many subs as Maryland, and makes sense, right? They're still trying to build their attack, whereas Maryland has this 1-0 lead and has seemed to dominate most of the game so far.
I mean, Indiana just don't have that flexibility of having a lead and also knowing that you're the better team on the field coming into the game. So they have to keep their starters in. And, I mean, if the game slips out of their reach, I think we could see substitutes late in the second half. But for now, I mean, it would be demoralizing to do anything but your best. And so far, their best has been struggling to crack through.
Yeah, and that one's going to be an easy foul call. A stab there from Cisse. He's throwing his hands up like he doesn't know what happened, but he got there just a second too late, caught the ankle of the Hoosier. And now they're asking for a card. Definitely won't get that far, but we have an injury on the field for the Hoosiers.
But we've seen the Hoosiers progressively get more animated in their exchange with the referees, and we'll have to see if that leads to any. I mean, we've seen some fired up players on Ludwig Field this year, and Indiana might be on a crash course for that.
Yeah, and they just can't afford to lose anybody. I mean, it's not like they're the leading team right now. They haven't had any opportunity that looks too scary for Lauren Mack. I don't think he's had to make a shockingly amazing save like he's had to in the past, which Mack has proved he's Maryland's stronghold back there. But this is a far, far out free kick for Jacopo Fedrizzi. So I think he's just going to play this short. I mean, he might loft this into the box. A lot easier to get there by just kicking it there. This one's a good ball, just a little low off the head of Cisse, who committed the foul. And now Maryland building an attack, getting numbers forward. Here's Van Hoekaloom, who flicks this one on to Chris Thurston, and that one's going to be a corner. As Maryland, I mean, it does not matter who you put in what position for this Terps offense. They have just been able to get the job done. Now another corner kick for them with 2 minutes remaining in this half.
And James, it sounds like an earthquake right now. Everyone's stomping their feet in these bleachers, hoping Maryland can double their lead as the first half has almost come to a close.
That's exactly right. And the corner kick, the hand goes up. The ball goes in the box. This one up top for Maryland. Lofted back into the box. Beautiful on the back post. Some danger happening. The ball is still in the box, but in the air. Maryland's players try a strike. That looks like Cisse, who tries his first shot of the day, and that one just goes wide. Tough volley there. I think if you're Michel and this Hoosier squad, telling everybody to go forward, let's just try and keep it out of this box for the next minute. Give me 60 seconds of a clean box, and we can go into the second half with a new game plan. Call a timeout, so to speak, as Michel sends this one past half field. And Costabile smart there, let that run out of bounds. For Maryland here, I mean, it's just about, do we want to try and score again? I mean, they could have the gas pedal on. I think they're looking to do the same thing as Indiana right now. And that's slow things down a little bit. This ball is going to be played forward. No offsides indication yet from the referee. Looks like Lasse Kelp clears that one out of bounds. And this will be a throw-in with 20 seconds left for the Hoosiers. A late attack here and a long throw could be exactly what they're looking for. The throw enters the box. This one, nothing crazy happening. But now Hoosiers put it back into the box. Broken up there from Maryland. And Costabile, who scored the goal for the Terps, able to clean this one up, clear it out of bounds, and bring us to halftime here in College Park, where the Maryland Terrapins are up 1-0 over the visiting Indiana Hoosiers for our ranked Big Ten matchup. We've seen a lot of action We'll be back here in about 15 minutes for some more action in this second half slate, which could mean a lot for the Big Ten postseason. Thank you for joining us on WMUC Sports, and we'll see you here in just a few moments. Welcome back to College Park as we are underway the second half of action between the Indiana Hoosiers and the Maryland Terrapins here on WMUC Sports Radio. I am James Consoli. Alongside me is Adam Lipman. And Adam, we are still at 1-0. Maryland's been able to keep this clean sheet so far.
Maryland got the crowd into it early on the goal by Luca Constabile, and now it's just on their defense, which has been really outstanding today. Indiana have had 8 shots, James, to Maryland's 10. You would think this would be quite the even game, but Maryland's been in full control. They've only allowed 1 shot on goal, and while there have been a few chances, the back line has just been so well positioned. Kelp and then Lauren Mock in goal, shutting down all the corners and deep throws that Indiana have been trying to put together. It'll be on the Hoosiers to find a response here early in the second half.
Exactly right, as the Hoosiers just give up possession that quickly as Maryland tries to battle back. Here's GK, who was subbed off early into the first half. About 25, 30 minutes in, not too early, but after Maryland's attack was already able to build. And a great step there from Constabile, as that one's going to go out for a throw. He's able to clear it, but now checking on Collins Oduro as he is down. I think probably just an ankle clip. He should be just fine. But taking his time, maybe trying to pitch his case to the referee a little bit more. Not sure. But for now, he is back up and at it, holding the right ankle. Is he okay? He seems to be walking it off just fine.
Walking a little gingerly here, and this is definitely something to watch for Indiana because he is their second best offensive threat. I mean, 14 points combined with Alt for 50.
As that's a little bit of a jersey grab, and that's both sides there. That's tough how you call that against Constabile. Both of them going back and forth. First, the jersey grab there from, I think it was Oduro, and I think Constabile, rightfully so, putting his hands up. But the call goes against Maryland. The ball's just outside, horizontally, diagonally off the 18-yard box. Good for a corner with a better angle. And I don't think this one you put on frame. A powerful lefty here. Might have Fedrizzi take it, but this is a tough one. Do you put it on frame? Both teams have been pretty strong off set pieces this season, and Indiana in one of their recent games versus Wisconsin had 3 goals off set pieces. So this is a question, do you loft it near the back post, Adam, or do you try and tuck this in?
I think you have to go towards the goal because we have not seen crosses be successful, and Indiana have been struggling in the box. You just might need to hope that a shot will carry.
It's a pretty good angle for a lefty. He could try and tuck this near post, which is why the wall is posted there. Be a tough shot. Not a shot. This one's crossed near the back post. It's going to run long. Looks like it goes all the way through. As Lauren Mack going to try and do a goal kick, but one of Indiana's players seemed to have crashed into the post pretty hard, and he's banged up near that far post.
I mean, you don't often see players running into the pole, but just a lot of traffic right next to that post. I mean, an interesting decision for Indiana to try and cross it again. That's been really biting them all game, and you have to think that they might try and be aggressive. Even if they don't trust the shot to go in, you have to hope that maybe you'll find a little bit of luck and just squeak one through.
I agree. I think putting that on frame, coming out of halftime where you didn't really have many shots, you had 1 shot on goal. Coming out of halftime, you need to put that shot on goal. See if Lauren Mack tips it. See if you can get a corner off that. See if, it doesn't get there all the way, hits off a post and is put back into play. But if you just cross it there, they've been doing that for the whole first half and didn't really test Mack much.
I mean, if you're relying on header luck, that's so unlikely to work out because, the ball just deflects however which way it wants. If you're trying to just go on frame like you've been saying, James, you can control your own situation more, even if you do have to rely on Lauren Mock to make an uncharacteristic bad stop.
And this one, now the player from Indiana was up. I believe it was Palmer Alt that may have been down for a little while there. Tough to see from this angle, but the Indiana player is up healthy, and now Maryland cleared it up the field, but this will go out for a throw for Indiana. Still at 1-0, a little over a minute into this match. And some strong backline presence from the Terps as Njike gets the ball to his feet. Great handle of that ball, and now Indiana applying some strong pressure. It's Bakoto dominating the midfield A beautiful, beautiful connection there from Maryland, but just the foot of Indiana able to break it up as they are building on this right near side. If you're tuned in either here in College Park or away from it, the crew is insanely alive here. Maryland's famous crew, hundreds of students, loyal fans, alumni, you name it. They're perched up, giving Indiana's goalie a tough time and maybe some tough words as well, sitting behind the goal. But that's why he's sitting like near the midline, because he doesn't want to hear that. But Indiana with the ball off a pretty controversial foul call there, but Maryland able to get the ball right back as Njike gets it to his right foot and now plays a ball straight to the middle of the field. Nothing really there as Michel with a strong clearance to Jace Clark, Maryland defenders, side of the field. Picoto able to recover. Now Picoto with time and space. He's going to pace. Maryland with some great passing. Rough touch there from Indrenica is going to lead to a turnover. Here's Indiana's Nolan Kinsella. Came in at first half a little late for Bendo. So
Indiana have just been struggling to get an attack going. They're going to have to script up a new kind of play because their offensive playbook has been getting exposed by Maryland, and their attempts to be creative have really backfired all game.
Maryland building strong passing schemes, finding each other's feet and staying close as they group up the field, but it's the last pass that messes things up, and obviously that's easy to say, but it's usually not a complex pass that's being made, but it's either a mental lapse or it's broken up. Maryland moving the ball across the back. Here's Clark. And Steinleitner getting played around right now as Indiana is working the ball in what seems to be one of their stronger attacks. Costabile throws his body at it, and it somehow goes back to the Maryland defense. Mack clears it to half field. Andrenica, contested head ball. Andrenica. And looks like a smart play there from Brecken Minzy of Indiana's back line. Minzy went to Indiana University High School. A redshirt junior from where else other than Indiana, as they are building an attack going forward. A ball crossed to the box. Easy scoop up there from Mack. Just a low-driven ball there. And Mack taking his sweet old time deciding what he's going to do with this one.
And again, the Hoosiers failed to capitalize because they have just been so reluctant to try and go up the middle and really go after Mock directly. They keep trying to cross it over, and that has been the reason that they have been held off the board so far.
As Andrenica tries there and just got bodied. Now, Indiana building an attack. Here's an overlap. Maybe going to look to drive a low cross in. This one high on the back post. And throws his body up. Looks like Oduro not going to lead to much. That looks like it'll be a throw for Indiana. This one runs wide. And Oduro just jumps up. Doesn't get to anything. Costabile is worried about the foul. And no foul called. Indiana ball. And it appears that the throw will be taken by who other than Palmer Alt, who is the leading scorer, leading points maker, leads his squad in assists too.
If there's an offensive stat, he probably leads it.
Yeah, Big Ten and maybe otherwise as well in the nation. This guy is unbelievable. what he can do with the ball when he gets into an an offensive position. As he's shaking it up here. Palmer with a great pass here. A strike! Tried to be on goal there, but Maryland just finding a foot in any shot that Indiana tries to get. That one looked like it was driving near the back post. Would have been hard for Mac to reach.
And I mean, I think it was better process, though. If they can try and recreate that situation, they might be able to capitalize soon, because that was towards the middle, and it was closer to the net than it's been in at least this half.
Yeah, and I think one big thing to be said about that, Adam, is the fact that, Indiana's formula this game has been to play it out wide and try a low-driven cross or a lofted back post cross, whereas, they've had their most success just kind of going directly at the goal from that diagonal, as Palmer all not having the same luck with this Maryland back line. The toughest back line he's faced this season by far, Lasse Kelp of Maryland. I mean, they hold their opponents scoreless, and if they can hold the best scorer in all the nation scoreless, and they have certainly done their job, as Costabile gets the ball at his feet, finds Njike, who has a one-on-one. Might take it baseline, has it on his right, finds Picoto, who doesn't put enough on that pass. Here's Jace Clark going down the midfield. Jace Clark getting closer to goal. Clark! A strike on goal, deflected by Michel's hands. Another corner for Maryland, their first of the half.
So another great moment for the Terps, who have not been on their offensive foot so far the second half, but now that could change in a moment with their third corner of the game. Sounds like an earthquake with everyone stomping in the bleachers.
This one's crossed in, just headed out of bounds, but it's at Kuhl's feet. Has Costabile at the top of the box. Maryland sends this cross in, driven out of bounds for a throw.
Oh, and Testudo is heartbroken. Do you see that, James?
I think his foot is, what do you call a turtle's foot?
I think you just call it a foot.
I think we're just going to call it a foot too. As some commotion in the box there, as it looks like a Maryland player was tripped up. And this is going to lead to an extremely short corner, which is dangerous for this Indiana squad. About 10 minutes into this 10 minutes into this second half. And what we've seen so far is Indiana's actually built some pretty worthy attacks. Tried a little bit of a different method at first, stuck with what they did in the last half, which was drive it down the side and try and cross it in. This time they're trying to play a little bit more technical up front outside the 18. And it's almost led to a shot on goal. It's just hard to penetrate through this Maryland defense. For now, we have a ball that's about 5 feet outside the right side of the 18. And now across here, looks like Picoto on the ball. Going to put this one in. Goes all the way through and leads to Costabile. As it's Njike who's going to try a strike, and followed by a strike up top. Looks like Leon Kuhl, who tried that one for Maryland.
Almost gave a souvenir to the Crow.
Yeah, that would have been something. That was a lofted ball, that's for sure. Looked more like clearance than a shot, but hard to juggle a volley like that. As now we're back in Maryland's defensive side of the field. Lauren Mack able to get it to his midfielder, and now Picoto driving with the ball. Got Leon Kuhl. Got Njike out wide. Njike on the one-on-one. He's got it on his right. Njike, can he get it off his foot? Drives this in, but can't really find feet there. Steinleitner finds Picoto. He has got a little bit of a one-on-two. Defender came last minute to break that up. Oduro on the wing. Steinleitner with a strong play. That one looks like it was off of the foot of an Indiana player. The referee did not see the same thing. He's got a better angle than us. That'll be an Indiana throw as they're working to create something. But the Maryland compression there, they bring all their midfielders. They have Njike there, Pakoto there, Cool there, as well as Lasse Kelp. And now Maryland. Rose and Mack and Costabile working the ball. Costabile will play it up. And a great play there from Njike. A nifty turn move to get the nutmeg and also the foul. As Maryland's kind of just playing their own tempo, speed, their own attack pace, whatever you want to call it. What they're doing right now is working, and I think what they're going to try and do is get one more on the board here real quick.
Well, they're trying to get one more on the board. They're also trying to work down Indiana's starters who have not been substituted out much, and we see on the sideline Indiana are getting 6 players ready to go, which could suggest that the starters might not have much longer than, let's say, 10 minutes left in this game.
As Costabile applying pressure. A good run there. He gets so far out of position, but I think that's why Maryland's backline adjusts so well, is that they have multiple guys that can try and fill that role. As Njike gets it at his feet. He's got it on his right. He plays a beautiful ball to Masareka. And Masareka finishes it for Maryland, able to stay on sides and slot it into the left side of the net. Maryland up 2.
What an execution for Maryland, who pad their lead just like you said they needed to, James. A thrilling moment for Masareka. Maryland have goals in each half today. And boy, the Terps are on a roll. They really got the crowd into it. Their biggest crowd of the season. Their biggest crew section of the season. And Masareka right in front of them delivers on a beautiful cross shot past Michel. And a thrilling moment for the Terrapins, who are trying to get this statement win. 20th anniversary of the 2005 championship. Could this be the year where they do it all again? Nights like tonight make you think that that could be the case.
That's exactly right, Adam. Last time the squad was able to do that in 18. As this one for sure called a goal now. I think they were testing something about, was it offsides, was it this, was it that. They looked back at it. It's a goal. It's settled. It's 2-0. It's Maryland on top. And I think, like you said, Adam, something that our listeners at home cannot see is how great of a pass that was from Njike. He's been doing it the same thing all game. Getting the ball on this left side of the 18. Going across, going to his right to try and get more centered up on the goal. And sometimes he looks for the shot, but most of the times he's looking for a pass. And he found a runner in Masareka at the last possible second he could hit it for Masareka being offsides. Masareka's got pace. He finishes it. Maryland up 2-0. The unselfishness from this Maryland squad is something that looks like championship DNA. Here's Andrenica. He'll switch fields. Clark out on the wing. Has space. Has Masareka. He'll find him. Clark with the overlap. Masareka driving inside. He's got Costabile. Costabile puts the ball in the box. And broken up there, but it's a good look. Trying to shake things up. This one just lofted up in the air. There's Colton Swan from Indiana and goes down pretty harsh after that contested ball. And now who other than Alt, as Alt's getting locked up there on the sidelines and getting talked to by Maryland. Lasse Kelp with some words there. Referees coming in to tell him, let's calm down, let's play ball, but it's hard. This much energy and emotion in a match, and that's going to be a card there. A blatant shove in the back there from Palmer Alt. Clear his frustrations are running high, has not been able to perform where he wants to be tonight, and that one he took out on Kelp. And Maryland's going to win this one in terms of a foul. Obviously already in the heads of some Indiana players. There's going to be a card awarded there.
And I mean, for Indiana, when it rains, it pours here. They've really let this game slip away, James. They've had no answer, and now their discipline is falling apart. You have to wonder, I mean, for a player like Alt, who has been so successful this season, how can you let one scoreless half bring you completely down?
And there's the yellow card. Adam, you're exactly right, but I think it was a combination of him not being able to do what he's done to any other Big Ten, in-conference, out-of-conference opponent. Kelp, obviously, giving him some words after locking him up on the sideline, and then Alt, obviously, letting his frustrations get the better of him, being given a yellow card.
But, something important to remember, too, that Maryland, they were ready to potentially fight. There were, some very loud words exchanged, and they were in the face of Alt, who, I would not pick a fight with this Maryland team, James.
No, the size and just the animosity, the energy that they're running on at home, they have everybody in their favor right now in College Park. So if Indiana can keep their composure and maybe try and get something going, as here's a run from Alt, who's going to get it back to his feet. Alt gets tripped up a little bit there. Somebody goes down. A shot from deep from Indiana, runs high and wide. As there's a Maryland player down on the field, got tripped up within all that chaos. I think it's Chris Steinleitner. Steinleitner able to get back to his feet. Nothing too serious, it appears. But that's one of the better attacks we've seen from Indiana, which says a lot. Obviously our listeners don't have a visual picture of this, but I think Palmer Alt let his emotions carry a fuel that he was burning off there, and he drove it all the way up 3/4 of the field, got it into the box, and they were just mishandling it, and then a shot from deep that goes wide. But that's kind of been the story so far for Indiana, is not really been able to get shots on goal.
Yeah, this Hoosier offense has come into the game trying to be creative, and that creativity has completely bitten back at them, and they've just mustered no real quality attack so far. And Maryland have just been able to seize all the momentum, and that's what's allowed the Terps, who have not had so many great offensive chances, but they've just capitalized when they do create their moments, and they prevent Indiana from really maintaining and building off of any of their successes.
No, that's exactly right. And I think the difference in the way that these two teams are scoring is notable as well. In the way these two teams are attacking. Maryland has seemed to take a more direct approach, going right at the goal, whereas Indiana has felt they're best suited by taking it to the wing and crossing the ball in, which has not boded well for them so far. But Indiana has possession. We are about 17 minutes into the second half. A little quick foul there at midfield, and Indiana back with the ball.
There is a really smoky smell coming across the entire field. It looks like they might be packing up the halftime concessions, but it smells like something's on fire, James.
Just an ominous feeling on the field and in the crowd, but what is certain clear is Maryland up 2-0 as GK going to offer pressure up front. Here's Indiana trying to keep this one alive. Here will be a run from Palmer Alt. Now with speed is Kinsella. Found in the box. Some physicality definitely offered in the box as Oduro able to clean things up for the Hoosiers. Driving forward is Bruletti, who's going to find Kinsella, who's going to loft this one up and into Mac's hands. Hands of Maryland goalie, and Chris Steinleitner with more of a vet move telling him, let's slow this thing down a little bit.
And that's the benefit for Maryland of really coming out of the first half strong. They can't afford to slow this game down. They've been in full control of the tempo, and for Indiana, they've been trying to speed things up, and that effort has led to a lack of discipline that's almost cost them in a few big moments.
But Indiana driving forward here, and a strike on goal is going to find the right net. Indiana from deep. They said no more of this crossing and no more of this outside work. I'm going straight at you, Lauren Mack. And I'm going to give you this to pick up out of the goal as Indiana finds itself on the board for the first time tonight.
So the Hoosiers finally get a response. They make the offensive adjustment we've been talking about all game, going for a hard middle strike, and Lauren Mack is not invincible, and he can't get to that one just in the far corner. Indiana now trim it to their deficit to half, and this could be a very thrilling final 25 minutes, James.
I think this shakes things up exactly how it is, and to talk about it, the guy that's scoring isn't Palmer Alt. This isn't your number one scorer by a wide margin. This is an Indiana player that just crosses half field and decides to let it strike. I believe it was Charlie Hoyer. It was Indiana's Charlie Hoyer who pulls up there, pretty deep out, about 25 yards out at least, and decides that no more of this outside stuff. Let's go right at Mack. He's got his hands cold. He probably hasn't had a shot on goal for a while. Now they're driving again. Able to keep this one in. That one's deflected. Looks like it might have hit off Kelp. Another great chance from Indiana, and they're able to stir up a couple good chances right now as they're keeping the pressure on the Terps. Masareka with the ball. Slide tackle there from Indiana in midfield. Runs out of bounds, and now Masareka with a throw.
This is the first goal that Maryland has allowed in 4 games, and they did allow one to Northwestern, but that was another 4-1 rout. So the Terps have not had to play late and close for a long time now, excluding that scoreless tie 4 games ago. So we'll have to see how they respond here because they look to still be in control, but Indiana might get a burst of energy from that goal.
As Kelp there with a smart defensive possession. Knows exactly what to do when driving there. Keeps his hands behind his back because he doesn't want any chance of an unlucky moment for the Indiana to benefit off of, as now they're back in the mix. Oduro with a strong cross. Appears to try and find the head of Colton Swan there. Swan runs out of bounds. And I like it. I mean, pretty obvious because it's on a goal kick, but Maryland's attack able to stay so high and deep in the Hoosiers' back line. It's pushing them back so far that it spreads the midfield out. Allows the midfield to work with what they have. And it's going to be a throw for the Maryland.
And, I mean, it could be an interesting benefit to Maryland, actually, that the starters for Indiana will stay in now that there's only one goal that they need to create to tie this game up, because the subs have stopped on the sideline. They're just in the corner waiting.
Some nifty footwork there from Njike, but that ball is far too late as it's broken up. And now Oduro and Indiana driving forward on this right wing. He's going to find Kinsella, who's going to cross in. It's going to be knocked out of bounds there from Rose, and now Mack and Maryland looking to regroup off this corner.
This could be the biggest stop of the game for either team today, James. A crucial moment, because if Indiana can score 2 unanswered, it'll really be a tough task for the Terrapins to muster a third goal. And a tie today with this massive crowd, with the stakes of the 20th anniversary of the championship, you can't afford to tie it. A tie would basically be like a loss.
No, but Indiana with a strike. And that strike goes off the inside post, bounces and deflects back out into play, but some scary hold-your-breath moments for both the crowd and maybe Lauren Mack. He had no chance of getting that if it went inside.
I mean, that was just a tease of a moment for the Hoosiers, who fully executed and just Some terrible luck for it to go off the post. Already inside the goal, but just bounces out. But can they find a response?
But here's another cross inside. And this one, another strike. Looked like that one was from Alt, and it goes to the top right corner, but just outside. So no goal there for Indiana, but they did score a few moments ago to give themselves a tally on the board. It's 2-1. Maryland still leads with about 21 minutes remaining in this half.
The Terps have been in defense-only mode, really, for the last, you could say, 40 minutes, and they'll need to go back into that offensive mindset that they had to begin the first half and try and add on to this lead, because a one-goal lead against this Indiana team that's creating better chances is not something you can trust.
And now Steinleitner and Drenica. Costabile going forward. And Costabile lofts this to the back post. Looks like it's going to run long, maybe go out for a corner. This one actually looks like it stayed in bounds. And Masareka is going to get called for a foul there, just running straight through the back of the Indiana defender. I think stoppage hurts Maryland in terms of set pieces and other things. Even though they do have the lead, it kind of kills the momentum that they're still trying to build up. Whereas right now, Adam, I would say that the Hoosiers have the momentum coming off that last goal and then the near goal on the just a few moments ago on that corner.
And Maryland's best ability today was to disrupt the Hoosiers' momentum and create chances for themselves, because we saw Indiana were building things, but they just couldn't string it together.
But here's Enrique, and he's driving towards the net. Some nifty footwork, maybe a little bit too much. He's able to keep the ball until he isn't. As that one, defender swarmed from the Hoosiers, and now in attack. Looks like Palmer Alt. He's going straight at the goal, so no more this side-by-side. But I think that one's broken up from his other player, Kinsella, and him trying to collaborate on that effort. Here it looks like Becerra. Excuse me, that's Charlie Hoyer on this near side. And Brecken Minzy out wide. Kinsella. Here's Oduro. Oduro with a cross. Looks like an easy clearance, but Steinleiter appeared to miss the mark there. And now a drive here from Indiana across there. But that one broken up from Maryland in the air. As Picotto going to try and get something. All he'll get is a throw-in for his squad. And looks like we're going to see some subs coming in now. Looks like coming out is Leon Cool. Jace Clark going to sub in for him. And for Indiana, Easton Bogard coming in. He is a sophomore forward from Illinois. Subbed out should be Colton Swan. One of their persons for strong attack this game, but Indiana going to try and shake things up. Maybe thought Swan was slowing down a little bit. I mean, he's played the whole 70 minutes, so it makes sense. As now it looks like it's Indrenica on a run. It's Costabile, actually, with some footwork. And Njike broken up there. Indiana. Now Rose finds Clark, who's going to give the ball to Indrenica and be fouled there at the just about the midline. And a decision by Rose to just go back to Mack. Kelp on the left back spot near as well. And Steinleitner fumbling with it there. Steinleitner unable to possess, but Jace Clark trying to clean it up. Indiana looking to build. Clark able to build it and take it back from the Hoosiers, and he's got time. Clark can go forward and help Maryland build an attack here. As here's a turn for Picoto, and he's got space. Is he going to take a strike? He opts to give it off to Andrenica, who is in a better position, but apparently not, as the Hoosiers able to break that one up before it builds. Looks like a foul there. Some shoving up top from either Masareka or Picoto has tightened that bunch, but either way, it was on Maryland, and now Indiana possessing again. A long ball played to the newly subbed in Bogard from Indiana. Is now Bruletti going to try and play it out wide to his back. And this one runs long and out of bounds. Adam, I think you're right about saying that, you know, even a tie or a draw here tonight is a loss for Maryland. I don't remember the last time they've had this many fans out in College Park for this match. Definitely probably record-setting, at least in this year. So this ball played through, though. It's Njike. Njike with a chip that'll go to the back of the net. And the Terps have the trifecta. 3 tonight for Maryland. And that one, with 15 minutes remaining, might just wrap it up.
And James, I think the Terrapins heard you. They don't want to tie either. And Njike just bounces it softly in. He takes advantage of Michel's error to come out of the goal. And Maryland are leading. They've got the crew and the entire crowd really fired up here. And it's a thrilling night as with 15 minutes to go, you're right, this could be the put-away. And we see the Indiana subs are back at it again. But just a great moment for this Maryland team that is trying to see what their ceiling could be. Could they reach the top 3 in the nationwide rankings with a win today? We'll have to see.
Yeah, we will have to wait for that one till next week. But what we can say for certain is that this Maryland Terps team is a formidable opponent to any ranked opponent in the Big Ten. They know what they're doing, and I believe Costabile was the one to give him that assist. But there's a lot of Maryland players that were in that mix creating that play and ultimately leading to Maryland's 3rd goal of the day. That said, all the momentum that Indiana may have had sort of wrapped itself up there as they weren't able to really build much. But let's see if they can prove me wrong. As Oduro for Indiana driving on this wing. Here's Kinsella. And Kinsella has it broken up there. As Picoto and Indranica trying to connect. Masareka trying to recapture the ball. And he will! Masareka able to do that. And now Masareka's driving down the left wing. He's got 3 Hoosiers on him. As the Hoosiers slowing down a bit here. Doesn't look like we're going to see any subs anytime soon. Might just let these guys last it out for another 10 and see if you can get anything. But it's tough. You got to think a lot of these guys, Adam, have played the full 75-plus minutes. And this is going to be another card awarded. This one's definitely a yellow. A foul there. Picoto from Maryland goes to the ground. It's a pretty rough foul. Believe the card was awarded to Kinsella.
And we've seen a lot of rough fouls from these Hoosiers who have just been trying to play so physical, and it's really worked to their detriment because even though Maryland has not delivered on these chances except for one earlier, they still just disrupt everything the Hoosiers are trying to build, and they're back to square one, trailing by 2. And off the subs go in the corner, and we might see them come in soon as Indiana might have to transition into planning for their next game.
That's exactly right, Adam. And it looks like I see a couple warming up on the sidelines. One in particular is Henry Bernstein. Played for Philadelphia Union Academy growing up and prior to his tenure with Maryland, but also saw some minutes in the first half, some quality minutes where Maryland built just a few attacks before the minutes ran up in the first 45. But this one here, you got a foul. You play it like a corner. You could even drop it back to Costabile, who's at the top of the box, but I think it looks like Njike throws this one up into the box, and it's cleared out by Michel. It's going to be a corner for Maryland. This time on the opposite side.
And that was such a deep pass that you have to think that the intention there was to draw the corner, because that was really impossible to even in an ideal outcome, get the header off and find a way to the back of the net. So now this is the Terrapins' real chance that they've been searching for.
As the trainer for the Hoosiers will come on the field. Somebody landed wrong during that last altercation off the set piece that was played like a corner. A lot of heads in the box. Tough to make out who it is in the box laying down, but it is most definitely a Hoosier. And Maryland, with just over 14 minutes remaining, looks like they are well ahead in the driver's seat. And it appears the player from Indiana is up. And it is number 4 from the Hoosiers, Josh Mayer. And I believe the last things he was trying to say to the ref, I'm no lip reader, but I think it's, I want to come back on the field as soon as possible. And it appears by that because he's standing right at the midline. Now he's wondering why the ref won't let him back on the field, but we saw this same story play out in the first half with Costabile minutes in. So now the referee joining us here at the midline, chatting with Indiana's staff. And head coach Todd Yeagley of Indiana was chatting with the referee, as looks like at the moment Michael Neshi will be hopping on the field for this Hoosiers squad, just at least for the next couple of seconds until they try and get Josh Mayer back on the field. But that sub could have just been in general. Maybe they'll take somebody else off when they replace with Mayer and leave Neshi on the field. But right now, it's Maryland looking to go up 3 as they drive this corner in. And now they find Masareka all the way in the back. And they're going to try and give touches to Mack, make sure his feet are still warm. But Mack is going to send this one long like a Hail Mary style to Njike. See what he can do with it, which is not much. Tough to handle. Rolls out of bounds. Indiana throw-in. As Maryland trying to break up the attack from Indiana. Indiana with some last efforts. A long send there from Alt. Excuse me, that was Charlie Hoyer, who has netted 1 tonight, the only for Indiana, who sends that one a little long. But now Maryland back on the ball. Here's Masareka. Here's Andrenica. They have some momentum going forward. And GK on the left wing. GK trying to be nifty with it, loses the ball there. Great defensive stance there from the Hoosiers. And Costabile breaks this one up. Able to stay on his feet. And beautiful drifting work there. Costabile looks like he's going towards goal. And just gives up possession there. Not sure what Costabile was looking for. It was not the right move, but if you're going to make a mental error there, it's good that you're doing it near the other opponent's box. Steinleitner a little late there. Kinsella and Oduro building an attack for Indiana. Oduro just outside. And that one deflected by a Maryland player. A shot. Go for a corner for the Hoosiers.
So the Hoosiers get to recoup a little bit of that possession with the corner here, but another chance for Oduro, which was just in heavy traffic, and not much he could do with that. And you have to wonder, can Indiana find a way to be more patient? Because the clock is not on their side. They have less than 11 and a half minutes to go.
Corner goes in, and a strong header out from, I believe it's Maryland's Jace Clark. Here's Indiana driving in. Looks like Oduro outside the box will send this in. But who else other than the Maryland player? It looks like Pakoto and Njike working together here. Pakoto with pressure. Cleared by Indiana's Michel. As a great recovery there from Farouk Cisse. Maryland's attack is in. Masareka has it near the 18. Sent in there, a little lofted ball from Steinleitner, and Maryland can't really find its footing on the ground. As they try and work this sideline, but can't keep the ball on the ground. And they fumble it there. As Luca Costabile has his back completely exposed from Easton Bogart, and that's a tough no call there from the ref. Costabile's wondering why they didn't see that, and he's going to need a second to get up.
I mean, they were both leaping up in the air almost like they were trying to dunk in basketball, and then poor Costabile gets pancaked a little bit.
Yeah, he got thrown around there, and he's walking a little weird. It looks like he's okay, but that was a tough one. Tough no call there from the refs. It's cold out here in College Park, that's for sure. Playing in these conditions is not easy for any of these players, but so far it's favored Maryland. Not sure if the weather plays much of an effect for either team more or less. Unlikely, but what we do know is that one team is up 2 and the other is down.
Well, the nicest thing about this game, James, despite the physicality, despite the cold, is Maryland have a week off before their next matchup against Washington, so they'll really be able to rest and recuperate after a big midseason stretch.
Yeah, and I think that's one where a cross is in here. And maybe there's still life in this Indiana squad. Just from outside there. And it looks like that one might be awarded to Palmer Alt.
So Indiana are not done yet. I mean, they've really been working their starters all game. And now they've pulled within one. It was Palmer Alt. So earlier we saw him so frustrated with himself that he was giving away cards and pushing Maryland players. Now he's shown up the way we expect him to. 1 point shy of 40 on the season.
We knew he would find it at some point, like you mentioned, Adam. It's almost impossible to keep that guy contained. At least if you ask half of coaches in college soccer, they would tell you that. Now Maryland, 2 goals on them for the first time in a very long time. as Indiana is building. The last time Maryland had 2 goals against them was about a month ago in their draw to Penn State. So it's not a good sign if the team is scoring 2 goals against them, and then before then had 2 against them. I believe it was Bucknell, and Maryland drew them. So not a good sign. It's good that Maryland does have 3. That is greater than 2. But there's still time on that clock, about 9 minutes left in this match. Kinsella for Indiana building.
Maryland's assignment is just to find a way to get their foot back on the gas. This is a team that has looked completely different in both halves. Even though they have scored this half, they just seem like a different team that is not creating chances, not disrupting Indiana's plays, and the back line has made a few mistakes.
And no room for mistakes there as Lauren Mack just gives it back to the other team in their own side of the field. But now Jacob Fedrisi from Indiana and these Hoosiers are trying to get something going, as that one's going to be a foul on Masareka. Not sure how physical that was, but the speed Masareka was moving at appeared to be a verdict enough for the ref to make a decision. And this one is a pretty far out opportunity, but we're going to see some subs from Maryland as this halting period. And it looks like Albion Drenica and Luca Costabile coming off. And we'll see some action from Rocket Rita Rita. The ball crossed in here. Maryland able to deal with it, no problem. We're also going to see Quist Thurston come back in for the Terps. And now Masareka has a run. He's got the Indiana defender on one-on-one. Masareka gets the ball back. And it looks like he's called offsides. It was a really fast-moving play. Good on the referee to spot that was offsides, but Masareka looked like he could have netted the 4th for the Maryland tonight.
And I mean, even though he was unsuccessful there, that's the kind of play that Maryland needs to be making more in this second half, disrupting what Indiana's trying to do, turning a turnover into an offensive possession that forces the Hoosiers to have to recalibrate into defensive mode, take them out of their offense-first mindset.
Great step there from Steinleitner. Now Ajike has the ball, taking his time with the ball. Steinleitner gets rid of it and gives it to the other team on accident. Somehow gets it back. The hustle from Steinleitner. Gets the ball back, eventually goes out of bounds, and now a Maryland throw. So we see Rocket Rita Rita up top. Change of scene for Maryland. Quist Thurston in the midfield, who replaced Indrenica. And now we'll see Michel, the goalie from Indiana, say, leave this kick for me, as he will send it to his outside back here. Just about 5.5 minutes left in this match, as Indiana needs 1 goal for the draw. Maryland needs 1 goal to seal this thing. That's what we've been saying for some time now, but apparently a hat trick isn't enough. So the Terps really going to try and put the gas on to score, and Indiana has the same goal. It's neither team can really occupy time right now without an end goal.
But I mean, this is a great opportunity for Maryland, who have a playoff-like crowd, and they're in a playoff-like situation. It's going to be hard to get shutouts if they want to go on a deep playoff run, and finding ways to show your grit in moments like this with a 3-2 lead or slim games, you just have to find a way to outlast the other team. You can't say, oh, we've got 3, that's all we'll do today. You have to go for that 4th. Maybe if you need a 5th, find a way to get it.
I think so, Adam. I think this is also just a season-defining moment for this Maryland squad, as Picotto will hold it up in the corner. And now there's some pushing and shoving going down in the corner as this one runs out of bounds, but Maryland was holding the ball in the corner and it ended up going out of bounds. The referee awarded a throw-in to Indiana, but Picotto didn't understand that that was not their ball. And now a long throw here. As Maryland seeing daylight and maybe can wrap up this Friday night in their favor. But 4 minutes will be the time left to tell that. As we see a switch to Oduro, broken up by Maryland. Here's Njike providing light pressure, and Masareka on the far right side of the field providing the same. Rita trying to pressure behind the line. And Indiana, maybe with their last light, trying to take their time to build something special. But this is kind of what they've done all game, Adam, and I think their best opportunities have come from just going straight at the goal.
And I mean, Maryland are aware of this. That's why they're positioning their back line to almost be an impenetrable wall in front of the net. And we'll just have to see, can Indiana find a way to blitz one through? That's not been something that they've been successful at for most of this game.
No, and unsuccessful yet again. But this time finds Kinsella on the wing. Kinsella going to try and drive in. And what a strong stance there from Jace Clark. He lets that one run out of bounds, and Jace Clark showing some emotion there. The referee obviously giving him a word. Does not want him to talk, but, hard to blame Clark when he is giving all his effort out there, and that's a big, big game. Big moment there to stop somebody from Indiana from scoring. And this is high emotions for everybody here. Indiana and Maryland included. Maryland fans showed up tonight. There's no doubt about that. Flags flying. Students cold in sweatshirts. And here's Rita off the goal kick from Mack. He's got the ball again. Nifty footwork. A lot of energy. He's bringing it. He gets the ball back. This time it's Masareka. Picotto loses it there, but Maryland able to retain it. Steinleitner tries it from deep. Blocked. The ball just flying in every which direction. Nobody really able to bring it to the floor except for Easton Bogart of Indiana. And here is Joseph Picotto who brings the ball back down. And he's just outside the 18 of Indiana. Now Maryland with a minute and a half to go, trying to hold the lead. Masareka. But Indiana gets possession back. The referee sees that as off of Masareka's foot. And now a testing moment for this Terps defense, who's been impenetrable all season long, has only gotten better as the season's gone on. Their biggest moment yet. Just about a minute left remaining in this match. Enough time for one last attack from the Hoosiers. Stepped up there and sent it to Njike. Njike can hold it in the corner if he can get a good position. Njike with the nutmeg. Njike's got the ball. Rocket Rita goes in on goal. And that one off the hands of Michel. Gonna last for a Maryland corner. with 30 seconds to go. And now the lights look like they're about to dim for this Maryland crowd as the Terps have 20 seconds left. And now they're just going to hold this for as long as they can. Maryland driving in. It's Masareka, and he gets fouled in the box, but he's just going to stand back to his feet. And that wraps it up. The Terps with an absolute thriller in College Park. 3-2 win over the Hoosiers, visiting this ranked matchup. Maryland not able to hold Indiana scoreless this time around, but still able to get the job done with the trifecta.
Just a thrilling moment for the Terrapins, who rushed the field. Their biggest crowd of the season get quite the reward. A thrilling 3-2 win over the Indiana Hoosiers. And boy, is this Maryland team on a roll. They'll have one more game here at Ludwig Field against Washington next week on Halloween. They take on Michigan State, and then it's time for the playoffs. This Terrapin team, on a night honoring the 20th anniversary of the 2005 championship, could make their own history. Nights like tonight give you all the optimism in the world that that could be the truth.
Yeah, but we had goals across the board for the Terps, coming from Castabile and other players up top for the Terps. Masareka able to net one. And Maryland just able to get the job done, and GK doing his job up top. And so this Maryland squad will come out on top. And we'd like to thank you on behalf of WMUC Sports if you were able to tune in to this Friday Night Lights matchup in College Park. We hope we provided the appropriate coverage and necessary. So for Adam Lipman, I'm James Consoli, and for all of WMUC Sports, we thank you and have a great rest of your Friday night.